biting my ribs.
I could have gone without seeing that.
That was a little violent.
That was weird.
I got one job. 1, 2, 3.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode 39 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys in the middle chapters of our lives in middle America and middle other things, and we are very excited to be here. I am one of your hosts, Dillon, alongside Kendall and Kory, and again, this is From the Middle.
Yes.
That was a very dramatic pause.
It was. You had me on pins and needles.
Yeah.
On the edge of my horses.
Yeah. You could barely Krakoosh open your can. You were just waiting excitedly.
What's he going to say next? From the what, Dillon? From the
39 episodes
tune in next week to find out where we're from.
It's exciting. So for anyone who is tuning in for their first time.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. How would you describe us?
I've not found the perfect elevator pitch.
Yeah, but if you were going to try.
But I was just going to say, but if I was going to try, I think it would be like, hey, this is the show about anything and everything and nothing. It's like Seinfeld in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And we just want you to think that we're funny. And we need the validation. So you tune in and laugh at us, and we're going to have some fun.
Yes. I'd say 80 to 85% of our content is about yarn collecting.
Right. I didn't want to pin us down because I was thinking 82%, but it probably is. It probably is 85% yarn collecting.
Collecting and sprinkle sorting.
Wow. My OCD-ness just kicked in with the idea of having to sort sprinkles. I'm freaking out a little bit. I'm freaking out.
Kory's not going to be able to go to bed at night tonight because he's going to be like, man, there's a jar of sprinkles in the pantry, and it's all out of sorts.
I've gotten a lot of questions about the Lego sorting that we talked about.
Yeah.
A couple episodes back. You may have noticed. You may have, definitely not that word.
We just talked about old-timey word of the day.
You may have noticed my voice is weird. I don't know what's happening. I had like a tickle in my throat, and when I was in the shower, I tried to like either cough or clear it out, and I did that so intensely that I think I blew a O-ring or something.
And something like that sounds like...
Did anything come out?
No, like I thought, oh, there's just like, sorry to be a little graphic, but I thought there was like a big loogie or something.
Right.
And nothing came out. And then the tickle was still there.
Yeah.
So
sounds bad enough like it could last for 2 to 4 weeks. So hopefully you'll recover soon.
At least 2 episodes. It's going to be like
2 weeks.
I have a feeling that it's going to be 2 episodes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. We'll sorry. See. I'll try to find that right balance between like, if I talk quiet enough, they might not notice. But when I try to force it, it's not. It's even more noticeable. Anyways.
Excellent. So should we do some updates? Because I know Kendall has one big update.
I have one big update.
At least one big update.
Man.
Well, I nerd out in front of you guys about equipment. And I complain to you guys a lot about equipment. And I got a new piece of equipment. And I'm excited about that new piece of equipment. We're using it right now. It does things like this. I mean, that was... You want to hear that again?
Oh, please.
Here it comes. All right.
That's so satisfying.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
It's so good.
Yes.
What else can it do?
What else can it do? It can do this.
Oh, that's not good for me.
That's not good. What about this one?
You guys, we're coming up in the freaking world. You thought we were joking about this podcast? You thought this was a game? This isn't a game. We're taking over the freaking world. We're serious.
And for anyone else who speaks in food, if this podcast before this episode was that warm, delicious, buttery roll from Texas Roadhouse that you get served before your food, that new mixing board is just that sweet, sweet cinnamon butter on top now. and we are very excited.
Oh, I thought you were going to say prepare for a mediocre steak.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, I just thought I'd take the delicious thing for my analogy. But sure, mediocre steak.
And I'm so excited that you're excited. It's more compact. It's literally designed for podcasts. It's got all the right holes. If you
Different kind of toy.
But
what's the brand? What's the brand? Let's change to the brand. What kind is it?
Zoom Lav Track L8.
Ooh, just
it's very cool.
cumbersomely slides off the tongue.
I'm very excited that you're excited. And that, I think, segues perfectly into a voice message that we got from Jeremy Kester. And we don't appreciate Kendall enough.
Yes, you do.
Because seriously though, all joking aside and all sound effects aside, this guy puts a lot of time and energy into thoughtfully producing each episode. And this is a new piece of equipment that will allow us to do a lot more fun things. And so Jeremy noticed the attention to detail that Kendall puts into each episode, and he shared with his fellow middlers. And I'd like to listen to that message now.
Hey guys, just got off the show, had an awesome time. Very small observation for those deep cut middlers that I wanted to share. A lot of you know that Kendall mixes the audio, but he's pretty awesome. We were actually at one point we were cracking up, kind of rolling on our side laughing, and Kory had to get out of his seat and leave the county. And but Kendall, with his eyes almost completely seared shut from laughter, is still adjusting audio. He's still tweaking the audio. So when you listen to him tell his stories and run a conversation and that sort of thing, just keep in mind, he's still mixing. I don't know how he does it. So pretty awesome. Huge Kendall fan here. He's probably my favorite. And I'll see you guys soon.
Oh, so does it get our reaction on top of the voice message too?
Yeah, everything's going at once.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
That's so good.
But seriously, man, thank you for all that you do for From the Middle. This is all
very kind.
This is just a hobby for all of us, and you put a lot of energy into it, and we really appreciate you. I know it's fun for you.
Yeah.
I know this is your hobby anyway.
Yeah.
But
I'm a tinkerer by trade. I've heard that before somewhere.
Yeah. Y'all got any coffee? Do you guys have? Is there any coffee in here? So anyway, that's cool, man. Thank you, and I'm glad that Jeremy noticed it because you do.
It's true.
You do a lot for us,
and I'll just keep paying you back in soda.
I twiddle with knobs.
We say producer. What does that even mean? Officially in the podcast world,
producer.
Yeah,
producer can mean 1,000 things.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
So, I mean, if you're thinking of the sound person who is running knobs and things, they might be the producer who does that because the podcasts require very few people to operate. But I would say in that case, you would have a producer who is doing the job of an audio engineer.
Gotcha.
So a producer would be above that audio engineer.
So you're above audio engineer.
Not above. That's the wrong word.
But,
not a wrong word.
But
an audio engineer would be somebody who is working at the will of the producer.
So better than.
Better than is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. I'm pretty sure that I'm our presidente of our podcast. I think is the actual what they call the person who runs the knobs and does the computer,
does the editing,
and knows things about microphones.
Chief Technical Officer.
It's Chief Technical President, VIP, CEO of Cesar. Is it Czar, whatever that is.
Yeah, everything
that
you
word,
just said.
That word. And I would also go by father.
Because
this guy.
Yeah.
What else? So we got a new toy. What else is going on in our world?
Anything else with you, Kendall, before we go around the horn? Sorry, that's a segment on a network. Before we go around the bugle.
I think so. Hey, while I'm looking at him, there's a friend of mine who drew a couple stickers.
Oh, man.
It's pretty cool. Shout out to Benjamin Noble.
Basic Batman on Instagram if you're interested.
It's Basic Batman something. Basic Batman 11.
I think it's 20. Oh, hold on. Let me look it up.
Look him up on he posts his art on Instagram. He had some stickers made.
Basic Batman 23.
Yeah,
That's Basic Batman 23.
He's pretty good at what he does. He drew 4 of my tattoos. So I have his artwork on my body. Little piece of Ben.
Shout out to Ben.
On my skin.
Okay.
If he's not listening at this point, he freaking better be.
I know his brother listens.
From here on out, is all I'm saying.
That's a nice shout out.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm just, I'll go next. I'm wrapping up a very nice amount of time off of work. It's been lovely. I know I started time off Valentine's Day, Friday. I worked Friday the 14th. Okay. And my wife and I were deciding we wanted to do some kind of date night in there. And honestly, we didn't feel like going to do anything. So our in-laws very kindly offered to watch our daughter. We decided we literally just wanted to drop her off so we could watch a movie uninterrupted.
Yeah.
During daytime hours and get pizza on the way back to our house and just sit and eat pizza and watch a movie. Among various other things we did during my time off. It was nice. But my daughter had her second birthday party, which was lovely. And it was funny. We dropped her off to have our movie night. We went, picked up our pizza, got some Starbucks, headed home, and we didn't spend 2 hours deciding what to watch. We had kind of already picked a movie, and we picked A Star Is Born. I completely had forgotten that we talked about that movie in our episode 2019 year in review with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. So we get home, we get our Starbucks and our pizza, and we get home, and the movie starts. And I think Bradley Cooper is like one of the first people they show in the film. And I'm kind of watching it confused. I didn't remember him being in the movie, and I'm waiting for Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. And then about 10 to 15 minutes in, we've now introduced Lady Gaga, and I'm very confused why Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling aren't in it. And then I finally realized we weren't watching La La Land. We were, in fact, watching A Star Is Born. Because, my brain had, for whatever reason, I read the title. It was streaming on something. And I read the title, and my brain went to that movie with Gosling and Stone. And it was still very good. I wasn't disappointed that it wasn't La La Land, but I was surprised. And I think there's a joke in The Office about that with 28 Days and 28 Days Later that you could not have gotten those two movies confused, but there were zombies, but I was waiting for Sandra Bullock to show up. Right. And it kind of felt like that. And so, but it was a very nice date night, and A Star Is Born was a good movie. I think we were singing along by the time I finally realized what film we were watching.
Yeah.
We were singing along.
Man, I wish I was there in that moment to see your face of wait a minute, we're an hour and 13 minutes in, and there's no sign of Emma Stone.
What are we doing?
That was very Sebastian.
I know, that's what I was going for.
Yeah.
And just staring at Bradley Cooper, who both did a very nice job. I could see, we talked about in the 2019 in review episode, somebody said, I think it was you, Kendall, that you thought maybe Gaga had the hots for Bradley Cooper. She might have just been doing some spectacular acting in the film, but I could see where you're coming from for sure after watching it.
I've not seen the film. I'm just basing that off of 3 different performances that I've seen of theirs live.
Yeah, but they both did a great job. It was an enjoyable movie. Not for kids, it's
sure.
It's for the parents.
It has Lady Gaga in it.
Yeah, it's for the parents to watch.
Since you've referenced it twice, I will say that was episode number 32. If you'd like to go back and listen to our pop culture year in review,
which I thought was quite a funny episode.
We had fun. Yeah. We had fun doing that one.
There was all kinds of 2019 references. I had to Google that day, we were going to record, because I had missed all kinds of stuff. And in terms, I was way off on most of them.
No, I think that was one of my favorites. That was good. Of ours.
So yeah, so that's my update. We had I had a nice staycation, and we had a nice date night and enjoyed our pizza without pausing the film across 4 hours 67 times.
Was it from your new pizza place?
It was actually, yeah. It was funny because I went in. They cut everything, whatever, really thin strips for anybody, whatever.
Yeah, so they did it wrong.
They did it wrong. So I called and said, hey, this is what I want. Your regular non-thin crust. Could you cut it pizza style?
Yeah, can you cut it like a freaking pizza?
Pie style.
I want my pizza to be cut like a freaking pizza.
Like a pizza.
It might sound weird.
Let's
just go with this.
Let's just
triangles.
Make it a...
So so I go in and say the young lady at the counter, what's the last name? Hubble. She's like, oh, pie crust style. I said pie cut style.
Pie cut is what they.
She's
say.
like, oh, your pie cut. Your pizza's pie cut because they must never do that. And I said, well, yeah, actually,
like pizza,
you expect pizza to be cut. Yes. I did request it to be cut like pizza,
like a.
And I don't have any more updates.
Kory, you're up, buddy.
No, you have one more.
Oh, Dillon's got one more.
Oh, I can mix them all in. I had another note that I wanted to mention in case we have anybody else who's watching. We've talked a lot about Disney Plus. We just had episode 1 of season 7 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars come back.
Yep, the final season.
The final season. It just aired. I watched it, and this is spoiler free. You don't have to turn it off, but it was good. It wasn't great, like an amazing introduction episode to season 7, but it was very solid. It felt like they kind of plucked an episode out of the middle of a season to give you a good sense of like jumping right back into the action. So I'm excited. I don't know how many episodes it's going to get, but we're going to be stuck on this 1 episode a week for a while cycle, and there might be more updates about that show as it goes. So I'm glad it's back. It's a great animated series for kids and adults. And Kendall, you just said before we started recording that you just started watching from the beginning with your son. Did you start with the Clone Wars movie?
No.
And then go into the series? You jumped into the series.
I just jumped into the series, yeah.
Okay.
So, so this past weekend, my daughter, we sent her to her grandparents for the weekend. So just Amy and I with the boys, and my daughter, she freaks out about watching movies or anything like it. And I think we watched Toy Story 4 in the theaters, and I think that was too much for her. Like emotionally, she just can't handle like the pressure of it just gets to her. And so now it's like whenever we even talk about maybe watching a movie, she doesn't want anything to do with it. Aww. So we thought that with her gone for the weekend, it was a good time to watch something with the boys, and I convinced them to watch Clone Wars with me. And as I had never seen it before either. So we started watching it, and so season 1, episode 1 was like, the entire episode was like a battle, and both of the boys, they're 4 and 5, they're just like glued to the TV watching this whole thing. And as soon as it was over, they both wanted to watch another one. And then after the first episode, it started to get a little bit more plot driven, a little less fighty.
Yeah.
Which the 5-year-old is still very much into. The 4-year-old doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, we've only watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes or so, something like that over the course of a few days. Yeah. But it's been good. It's been good. They're nice short little things, better than watching a movie, I think, with a kid that age.
Yeah.
Attention span and all that.
And that's a show that gets a lot better by it starts out solid. If you like Star Wars, you'll enjoy it because it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
But by season really 4, 5, 6 especially, it's really good.
Okay.
So it continues to get better. It ages really well. So you guys will have fun watching through that.
Cool. I always like to hear that. It's going to be a while before you like it.
I was just actually thinking that
I could have just made the first season good.
When somebody recommends a show and they're like, listen, the first 7 seasons take a minute, but once you get into 8, you're like, you're asking me to commit to a lot of television.
That was like every standalone Star Trek series was like, oh, just get through the first 3 seasons at an hour a piece times 24 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it gets real good.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
You gotta hold my,
There's an investment.
there are some things I'm just not willing to do. Fuller House might be a perfectly good series right now, but I watched that first episode and said, nope.
Yeah. I hear you.
It's already getting old. Gonna have to find new sounds.
Yeah. By the way, we're not limited to 6 sound effects. We can make our own, so it'll be we'll work it out. We just got the machine.
I think I'm gonna get Jeremy Kester saying I don't think I like your tone.
I don't care for your tone.
I don't like your tone. We've got him hooked on Lego, by the way. Ooh. Whoa, he's all about it.
Yeah. Speaking of doing things with your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? No, go ahead. He is. So he's done a really good job at instead of paying retail, finding some lots being sold on social channels and getting some good deals for his kiddos, and they're having a blast. So
yeah, he's been sending us lots of videos of them just enjoying the Lego time. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I don't know if Instagram works this way, but I think he's on Facebook now. So Jeremy, we'll leave it up to you to like tag us so other people can see those things or share those photos of some of the stuff that you've got your kiddos and let other folks enjoy.
Yeah. So Kendall, I shared this with you last week, not to get too serious, but I just felt like I should share this on the podcast tonight. But so it's February here in Ohio, and the last couple years, I have been experiencing symptoms of what you might call seasonal depression. Go ahead and hit it. It'd be really funny.
Say seasonal depression again.
Seasonal depression?
Wow.
Oh, man.
Super insulting after you say seasonal depression.
And what's interesting, so this is all new to me. I've never experienced that before. And so it took me a minute to figure out what was going on. And again, I just felt like I should share this and might maybe help somebody. But anyway, you start to see the like downward spiral of like, I'm staying up late because it's dark outside, and now I'm up late, so I might as well eat some Swiss rolls while I'm at it. And then I'm feeling crappy, and then I go to bed at 1 or 2, which means I'm sleeping in, and I'm not engaged in like the morning routine of my kids going to school. Anyway, not to linger there in the sadness, but I've been noticing the upward spiral. Like things have been going really good. Like we shared in our favorite quotes episode where you said, if you want to change the world, start by making your bed, right?
Right.
So every morning I wake up, I make the bed. I'm up early. I got a gym membership. A week and a half ago, I've been to the gym like 6 times already in like a week and a half. That's not a sustainable amount of times to go to the gym in a week, but I'm feeling good. We've had some really sunny days here in Ohio. Mm-hmm. That's been really nice. So you start to see like the upward spiral, if you will, of I clean the house. It's a really cool thing to look around you and go, based on what I see around me, I think I'm feeling better. So that's been good. And everything feeds itself, right? So like, because you're at the gym, then you want to eat better. And then when you're eating better, you have a little more energy, you're drinking more water, you're doing, it's been cool to see. So that feels good. We last week for my daughters, so I forget if it's Bob Goff, the author, speaker, or Kevin Lehman, the author, but he does this thing with his kids where he takes them on double-digit birthday trips. So when they turn 10, he started this tradition in his family that he designs a trip around that kid and their interests and what they love. So he sort of, within reason, you take money off of it, you take the parameters off of it, and just say, what would this kid enjoy most? And so when my oldest daughter, Lily, turned 10, we took her to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter because she was all about Harry Potter. But my middle daughter, Chloe, turned 10 this past week. So we had a trip planned to go to the beach. She loves when we go to the beach, and we were going to go. But their favorite restaurant, Spuddy's, was no longer in business in Topsail Island, North Carolina. And the beach in February is kind of like meh. So we said, Chloe, of all the trips we've ever taken as a family, what's been your favorite thing? And she said, I loved it most when we stayed in a cabin and we could read as much as we wanted, and there was a fire, and we just played board games as a family. And I was like, oh, that's it. So my wife found these.
It's the perfect kid.
I know, right? She just wants to be quiet in a cabin with family. So my wife found these Amish-made tree houses that are 30 feet up in the trees up north in Berlin, Ohio. And they're like 3 stories. So what's that treehouse show, Treehouse Masters?
Oh, yeah. I don't know the name of it, but I know.
Yeah, so like our dad's all into it. I forget the guy's name, but he's like, I want to go work for that guy.
I'll look it up.
Treehouse Masters. So Sherry finds these Amish-made, they're basically log cabins in the sky. And they're on a hill. And the front edge of the cabin is like 30 feet up. But by the time you get to the back porch on the first, second, or even third story,
jeez,
you're way up there.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun. We invited my dad and our stepmom. What's his name? You got to find his name. Anyway, very cool. If you're in Central Ohio, it's worth looking up. You got to find these, the woods at Berlin. Very cool Amish-made tree.
Pete Nelson?
Pete Nelson. Thank you. It was very cool. It was a great experience. We were there for a couple days, and it was beautiful. It was really cool. Fire going. It was all open. The third floor Eagle's Nest had an Atari machine with like 25 different Atari games on it, and it was just a really fun time.
It's really cool. I'm looking at it now. I've never even heard of this show. Apparently, it's on Animal Planet. If you want to look it up, animalplanet.com, and then you can go to the Treehouse Masters.
Not to confuse, they were not designed by Pete Nelson. I'm just saying that's what it felt like. Walking out across the bridge to get out to it brought out the inner child in all of us. We were like, this place is really cool. So we did that for Chloe's birthday.
That's fun.
And she felt loved and celebrated. And we went to Der Dutchman, Dillon. The Der Dutchman for breakfast for their...
that would be relatable to other areas outside of Ohio, but if you are way outside of having any Amish anywhere near you, it's just anytime you see like a real rural home cooked meal with like heaping mounds of mashed potatoes and fried chicken and meatloaf and corn and green beans and just mountains of that. But like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, those listeners would all be pretty familiar. Michigan would all be pretty familiar with Amish communities and restaurants and stuff like that.
Yes.
And tons of home-baked everything.
Yes. Name the pie.
Yeah, exactly right.
They have it.
Yep. And cookies and bread and all that kind of stuff.
Name the pie, they have it, and it was cooked there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Super good. Did she have any favorite games or anything in particular she wanted to play or keep playing?
There was a lot of Guess Who. Dad had brought some Lego sets for them to enjoy. I convinced everybody to play a round of Monopoly because I'm obsessed with Monopoly. We had fun doing that.
You said we had fun doing that. Did the family really enjoy playing Monopoly?
No, they hated it. I won. It was awesome.
This is like the office trivia when we went to Lake Cumberland and nobody had answers except to me. It wasn't fun for anyone but me.
Did we talk about Monopoly on here before?
No.
No.
My family hates playing Monopoly. Okay, listen. This is a good... I want some Midler reaction here. In my mind... Okay, we're not playing this game for fun or to make memories.
Yeah.
We're playing this game to dominate. It's called Monopoly. I'm not going to take it easy on you. If you're playing, you're volunteering, you're saying, hey, this is a competition. May the best man win. So
sounds like a good, loving time.
It is. It's a wonderful, loving,
celebrating your daughter's
happy birthday. You're destroyed. Give me all of your money. Anyway, so we have this fun debate in our house of like, Sherry's like, no, I don't like playing with you because The minute you get all of a color set, you put everything into building houses and hotels, and you just destroy. I'm like,
because that's how you make money.
That's
literally how you
the
play it.
point of the game. And she's like, well. So anyway, it got to a point where it was down to just the birthday girl and I. We had eliminated Dad, and it was just her and I, and it wasn't looking good for her. Let's just put it that way. So I said, hey, what if we just shake hands and we end it here? Because she can be a little emotional. She's very sweet, very quiet.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, like, you know, rub her face in the dirt. So I said, let's just shake and end it here. And she's like, no, I want to keep going. And Barb, our stepmom, goes, Chloe, you might just want to be done. It's a good deal. You should take it. And so anyway, it was fun.
Really, you just wanted to be able to say, honey, I tried. I tried to call it a truce and be nice.
Yeah.
And you wanted to finish the game.
You chose this. You brought this all on yourself. No, it was a good time. And I highly recommend those cabins if you guys are looking for a nice little retreat. They have bigger ones with 2 master beds and little beds for kids, or you can just do a smaller one as a couple.
Where were these again?
The Woods at Berlin, in Berlin, Ohio, up in Amish country. So between Millersburg and
it's like south of Cleveland.
Yeah, something like that. And they call it Berlin as opposed to Berlin.
Yeah, I've been saying
to avoid association with Berlin, Germany.
The Germans.
That brings up kind of a funny story. So this past weekend we were with some family, and somebody brought a Switch over, Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
And 3 people are playing Mario Kart, an adult and 2 children. And the adult, after 2 races, the adult needs to leave and hands me a controller.
Oh boy.
And the older of the 2 kids was winning and had been pretty excited about how much they were winning by.
Right.
And I didn't ask this to try to set them up at all, but I genuinely couldn't remember for a moment what the gas was. So I had to ask the older of the 2 children, which button is the gas to go? And I think they were feeling pretty confident after I asked that question.
No. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, unbeknownst to the children, I'm pretty good at Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I proceeded to get first place in the final 2 races of the set of 4 and was able to get enough points to leap both children in the rankings by the end from the previous adult who had been in the bottom of the rankings. And I just nicely set the controller down and walked away. I wasn't cocky at all, but you hear stories about things like that happening, and it was fun.
You're the
old guy had some skills.
You're like Uncle Phil that came in to save the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air because he had squandered away all of his money in a billiards match, and Uncle Phil comes in and
oh yeah, and it was just like it was like that nerdy story that you hear all these people with useless video game experience finally get to tell. I finally got to just swoop in and go, which one's the gas? And proceed to get first place. I did know enough to ask at the beginning just to make sure I was prepared. What CC classes are these races in?
Yeah.
And it was 150. So we weren't playing on the easy or even medium setting. This would be comparable to difficult.
Right.
So I didn't know that much, but I just genuinely blanked. I really wasn't trying to be like the swindler. Like, I don't know how to play pool.
Every video gamer, you're right. Every video gamer has had those thoughts while they're sitting there playing their game, doing awesome, being like, man, if only there was a situation where there was like some kind of an obstacle course with like all my friends and everybody was there watching, and one component of it was this game, and I would come in and I would own.
I was finally the ringer.
Which character were you?
I was handed Donkey Kong.
Oh boy!
On a cart that didn't match up with the weight. Because if you know Mario Kart, especially later games, the weight of the character, the weight of the car, all this stuff factors into handling. And the reason it threw me off a little bit, I usually just play with the Joy-Cons, and they had a third-party like pro controller.
Yeah.
And so I was really just staring at it for a second, kind of kind of messed me up a little bit because I'm not used to playing with it. And that controller had it was broken. There was some drift built in that I had to fight against too.
Okay.
So it was a real pain, but not enough of a pain to not get first place both races.
Okay, so did you guys see the email from John that we got?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to talk about that.
Yeah, that's
now.
a great segue.
Because, okay, normally what we do is we take all of you guys' interactions on email, voice message, Facebook, whatever. We sit on those for a little bit. We wait until we have a good list. And then we do an episode called From the Middlers 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we've done 4 or 5 now. And so we were going to save this, but that was the perfect segue. So we have to read John's email. Do you have it pulled up, or do you want me to read
trying.
it?
I think it got...
I put it in the From the Middlers folder.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, I'll pull it up.
You guys read since my voice is shot.
Hello, Middlers. I listened to the episode where you talk about video gaming and had a hard time relating. I grew up in the age of Mario Brothers, GoldenEye, and Master Chief, and I loved sinking hours into campaigns or multiplayer slaughter. Then I became Mr. Serious and put consoles away in favor of late-night PowerPointing and Excel jockeying. Reflecting and speaking with a couple other middlers who are still gamers, I realized I really didn't have any withdrawal or nostalgic tendencies, so clean break, right? But then, fast forward to this month at a family get-together, and my niece and at the real Slim Taylor's son let me join their Nintendo Switch Mario Kart Battle Royale deathmatch of high-intensity entertainment. And suddenly, I am catching feelings. Number 1, why do I not have one of these devices? I could be rapid-firing red shells like a stress-sublimating Mad Max Mario. Number 2, why are these kids so good at this game, and where did my coordination go? My fingers are moving like an arthritic grandpa. Number 3, most importantly, when did I become the old guy that cannot relate to or cope with the crazy technology that all the kids are playing with these days? Curious of your reflections of getting back on the bike, just like riding a bike, indeed.
That's perfect. We had to go there after your story.
Well, it was just such a nice story that I thought of that we had to share.
So that was not your experience. Your experience was, I'm better than these brats.
Oh, you still had it.
Yeah, I own a Switch, and one of the few games I own is Mario Kart.
Okay, so it wasn't you getting back on the bike.
No.
You were never off the bike.
Right. Yeah, maybe not as smooth of a segue.
Not the same amount of regularity, certainly.
Right. No. Yeah, I'm sure I play far. Like, I probably hadn't played Mario Kart in 4 or 5 months.
You work for a startup, so you probably play there.
I'm actually I can tell you, and I'm actually surprised and a little disappointed. I've yet to see one Nintendo Switch in that entire office.
What?
Not a single Nintendo Switch. I barely see even anybody with an iPad.
Mega Desk, and now I'm hearing no Nintendo Switch.
I've not seen a single one.
I'm starting to think that this company started in the 70s.
The commercials from Nintendo have lied. I've yet to find an opportunity where I could have whipped out my Nintendo Switch and played with somebody spontaneously at lunch. There is one of those one-up arcade, those kind of like short arcades you can buy and for your house, whatever. There is one of those hooked up kind of in the lunch break area.
Right.
I think it's Street Fighter. But no, I've not seen a single
mainly
Nintendo
there because
I'm sure cool. Somebody somewhere has one in a bag.
It's hipster nostalgia
that they play when they take their Uber.
Right.
But yeah, I've not encountered that.
Yeah. Nothing to do when you're. So what do you do on your 3.5 hour lunch breaks?
Yeah, I just play mobile games, I guess. I don't know.
Just kidding.
Different kinds of games. Do either of you want to chime in on the email first?
So that, I mean, we've talked about this before on the cast, but like that's how I felt with Fortnite. Like, for whatever reason, that game, which has just become this hugely popular, gaming sensation.
Yeah.
That was the first game where I felt like I'm out of touch. Specifically, if you know anything about the game, we've talked about it before. It's a giant map of a multiplayer map. It's every man for himself, but the map is increasingly getting smaller. And the goal is to be the last man standing, king of the hill, whatever. But your map keeps getting smaller, 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 so it's forcing you into a smaller fighting space. So there isn't just first-person shooter, dodge, and shoot. There's this added capability of building fortresses or little makeshift structures to hide behind as you're getting fired at. For whatever reason, I can't do both at the same time. I've tried. I'm sure it's like, yeah, if you sat with it long enough, you'd figure it out. But I've talked to a lot of other dads who are just like, I can't figure out that game. It's just, I feel like I've got two left hands, and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how they do it. And watching other kids play, you're just like, that's incredible. I don't even understand how you're doing what you're doing. And John, that makes me feel like the old guy. So I've heard PUBG, which was the predecessor to that game, is exactly the same minus the building. So map is still shrinking, but you're only shooting. And I'm like, that I could probably do.
Yeah.
We were talking
is that as popular?
I don't,
or at least very popular.
I think
or is it?
It was on the list when we had talked off episode once about some like fun gaming trivia that will never be released. We had talked about PUBG being one of like the best selling games of all time.
Man, I didn't even pay attention to that episode.
Yeah.
James was talking about that at breakfast.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. So I know I've heard about it, but I guess my question about it is it like the gamer community is like, PUBG is for people who just couldn't do Fortnite.
No, it's the other way around.
It's like the bass guitar.
I think it's the other way around. Like the serious gamers are like PUBG is where it's at, and they got a kiddie version when they made Fortnite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's my understanding from like I'm part of a few gaming communities. It's like Fortnite is the easier, cuter, more cartoony, fun version of the original, better, much superior PUBG,
but easier to play PUBG.
Yeah, so who knows?
I think the difference for me as I get older, and I game significantly less, but my expectations of what I want out of the experience are much different.
Yeah.
I enjoy you're laughing already. I don't know what I said.
This, if you don't follow the Dad Gaming on Facebook or on social media, it's really funny. And every time you've made a comment about gaming, I'm thinking about a meme that they recently shared about the exact topic.
Okay.
Because it's like, you come home from work, you just want to do something that's not stressful, and you start playing Call of Duty, and you're blood red mad, wanting to chuck the controller across the room. So I was just laughing, thinking about the meme.
And I think there's a lot of like, because you have so much less time with it, you just want to enjoy the time that you are playing. And so for me, I used to play a lot of first-person shooter games, Call of Duty and Medal of Honor and whatever. And I used to care a lot more about the kill-death ratio, which for anyone that doesn't game very often, that's how many in individual matches and then collectively over time, your statistics on how many times you kill other players versus die yourself. So you feel really good if you're at 2.5, 3, 4, maybe if you're really good but not amazing KD ratio, which means for every life, every time you spawn, you kill 4 people before you die again. That feels really good collectively over a long period of time. I don't even worry about, I'm so far behind in the amount of time that I can spend. If I can't just hop on Battlefront and die 10 times and kill 2 people and enjoy it, then I shouldn't play it, because I have a job that I go to. I have a kid I help take care of. Like, I'm just not going to be able to put in the time same amount of time as a 15-year-old who, goes to school, comes home and plays until 2 a.m, on weekends.
Yeah.
So I think the expectations are a lot different. Now, there's some things I find I'm still more competitive in. So when I do sit down on occasion and play a game of NCAA football with a friend, I tend to win more often than I lose.
Yeah.
I do pretty well at Mario Kart. There's a couple things that I'm still pretty good at. But overall, my expectations are like, I just want to sit down and have fun.
Yeah.
You know, and I enjoy Battlefront, even if I'm going to die a bunch of times, because it's fun to run around as a stormtrooper. So,
But John, to your first question, you definitely need a Switch.
Yes.
You can take it anywhere
They're a lot
with
of
you. It docks to your TV, your main TV, to get it bigified on your screen, or you can take it on the plane or on a bus or to work at your startup company.
it's real good. What were the other questions in there? Did we answer them all?
Why are the kids so good, and where did his coordination go? And then third, when did he become the old guy that can't relate or cope with the crazy technology?
The answer for questions 2 and 3, why are kids good, and coordination, you probably already know. Their amount of time spent is way higher. If you played as much as a 15-year-old kid that wasn't in any sports or activities, we would probably all be just as good as those kids for the most part, but we're just not. So
Yeah, I haven't. So I'm in the boat that John is without the recent experience. So
I think once your kids get
I
a little
haven't.
older,
yeah,
you get them a
I might-
console and they start playing, you'll get back into it.
Probably. I can see myself getting back into it. I don't have any reason not to.
Especially
But,
the classics, something like Mario Kart.
Right now, my idea of fun gaming is sitting on the couch with my wife, and we both have the same crossword puzzle app, and we race each other on solving crossword puzzles.
That's cute.
So that's a kicking night for us.
what sound effect do you have for that?
Ooh, I can layer them. That is
fun.
fantastic.
We're going to keep learning and growing together, folks.
Yes, more sound effects coming.
But just seriously though, John, that was a very funny and thoughtful email, and we appreciate you reaching out with some of your thoughts. And keep doing it, and maybe you'll snag one of those Switches. And if you do, let us know. There's going to be a handful of games that almost everyone buys when they buy a Switch right away. The classic Mario game, Mario Kart, Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and a handful of others. So if you get one, let us know what you think.
Another update. So just a quick podcast update. You guys still listening to podcasts?
Yepers.
Yes, I listen to podcasts. Podcasts are the best, and people should throw away their
Now,
televisions.
not that our listeners need any more. I mean, they should pretty much focus on just us. But some of the few that I listen to, Brad, who we've had on the show before, recommended a new podcast, Conan Needs a Friend. Conan O'Brien, who I was a big fan of and thought he got shafted with the whole NBC, and then Jay Leno came back, and then he went off to a different network. I'm a big Conan fan. I think he's really witty. He's incredibly brilliant. Just knows a lot about history and smart, but also funny. So to hear him on a shorter form podcast with guests is great. I just started listening to that. The first episode, the one that Brad recommended, was the one with Keegan Michael Key of Key and Peele, and that was a great episode. Bad Friends is a new podcast with Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino. They're both comedians. So they are 2 episodes in now. And then Dillon, I thought you'd be interested to know, our good friend, longtime friend of the show, Sebastian Maniscalco, he and his buddy Pete Corielli finally added video capabilities to their podcast. They're both very animated Italian guys with very exaggerated facial expressions. So they finally added video.
They're waiting for us to do it first.
Yeah. And so that has been really funny to watch. Now, they're not actually together. Pete is on the East Coast and Sebastian is out in LA. But they finally added video, and that's made it really enjoyable to watch.
What's that channel called? Do you know?
It's the iHeartRadio channel on YouTube.
Okay.
Or iHeart Podcasts or something like that. And there's right now, Pete and Sebastian's is the only one on that channel.
Okay.
It's not consistent, like it jumps episodes. I don't know if they're still working out that functionality, but it's fun to watch if you're not caught up on Pete and Sebastian.
Exciting.
Yeah, really good. Because, Sebastian is so animated. He's a very physical comedian. So to only have audio of him is just less than. It's just, it's good and he's still funny. But when you can see his facial expressions and how they interact.
He is very visual. For those of, think of trying to listen to Brian Regan, which is hilarious, but then you watch him and you're like, he is over the top.
Yeah, I mean, we all know there's more physical guys, like Crystal Lee is more physical, Bobby Lee's more physical. Those guys are just funny to watch because their whole body is into the delivery of the jokes. And so anyway, that's been cool in podcast land.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to do some digging. I didn't immediately find it. If I do find it, or Kory, if you pull it up, maybe we'll share the link from our social channels so people can check it out.
Yeah, I'd love to send some love their way. They're one of the most underrated podcasts out there, in addition to us.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy how, the more I dig...
iHeart Podcasts. That's iHeart Podcasts.
Oh, see, I was searching iHeart Radio. Good to know. And probably all one word, because that's all
all one word. iHeart Podcasts.
Yep. As I dig more and more, there is a ton of independent podcasts about so many subjects. But what's kind of crazy is it's not crazy in that it makes sense, but some of these smaller podcasts struggle and just keep putting out consistently week after week episodes with very few listeners. Yeah. And I'm glad they can do it. But then you've got Angela Kinsey and Jenna Fisher who do The Office Ladies, and they've got 10,000 reviews and probably 100,000 listeners in, they're 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same with Bobby Lee and Bad Friends. They're going to immediately launch to just a massive fan base.
Well, because in that example, they each have their own already.
Right.
So they just joined up and said, we're going to start one together as another night of the week. We'll do this. So they already have a huge listener base with Tiger Belly and Whiskey Ginger. And so they just say, listen to Bad Friends. And then... So they're pulling from 2 fan bases, which I'm learning. You shared a great article. Our goal is to make this thing better and keep evolving and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things was being guests on other people's podcasts is the fastest way to grow your listener base. So you're friends with other people that have a podcast. You share, one of you goes on the other guy's show and then vice versa. And you just make people aware. And so that's basically what they're doing with already pretty substantial fan bases, being comedians and in movies and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
Yeah, they're leveraging their networks and their fame that they already have, but there's also a ton of smaller podcasts too. So if you're kind of into this, keep digging and look for best indie podcasts on whatever subject you're into, because there's a lot that probably go on unlistened to that might be equally as entertaining or interesting or fun. A good place to start. I found so far that the indie podcast community on Twitter is massive, and you just start asking for podcast recommendations on Twitter, and you're gonna have 60 replies back from different indie podcast hosts that might share their own or might share a whole list of other podcasts to check out. And so there's some really cool options out there, but it's always nice too when some of the people that you enjoy, like Pete and Sebastian, that we followed them for a while, when they do something new or have a new option or whatever, that obviously we're going to enjoy that. Cool. And Kory, did you see one of the movies we talked about after the Academy Awards?
Yeah, so we did an episode where we sort of mentioned the Oscars, and we talked about Joaquin Phoenix's acceptance speech, and I really wanted to see Joker, and finally did. And wow, I totally see why he won for Best Actor. Also, it probably only furthered his craziness. That movie is, and I think James said this, he's like, that's either one of the best movies I've ever seen or it's terrible. And nothing in between. It's weird, it's unsettling to watch, but I think it's intended to be that way. It's like the slow decay of a human being.
Yeah.
And so it's uncomfortable, but then not giving away anything, they tie it into the Wayne family origin story of Batman in a way that I didn't really see coming. And that added a whole new dimension that might segue into the Robert Pattinson Batman movie that's coming out.
Interesting.
And it was, I mean, I was like, I'm watching one of the best acting performances that I've in recent memory.
Yeah.
Like, I totally get it. I get why it got all of the attention. I get why he won. But yeah, it's not like a feel good. You walk out of there like, wow, you're like, it sits with you, like it lingers.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very early on in our podcast, we talked a lot about character development. And I think that might be, even if you compare the Joker film, which is really, my understanding, is really mostly just about Joker. This isn't a Batman movie with a villain on the side.
Right.
This is about Joker. So
yeah,
we also applauded Heath Ledger's performance as a Joker, but there was really not backstory to Heath Ledger. He just played crazy well in a Batman movie.
Right.
And so I think the difference is now we're starting to see somebody go, it feels like the whole behind the scenes to this, it was like, look, there's clearly enough people still paying to go see superhero movies. Let's really flesh out one of the most infamous and kind of well-liked villains, and let's give them a whole movie and let it flesh itself out.
Yeah.
Would you feel like, having not seen it, do you feel like that's the big difference between us applauding Heath Ledger and us applauding Joaquin Phoenix for the same character? They're playing the same characters, but in very different ways.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And the other thing, Todd Phillips, the director, was saying, like, we wanted this to feel like very much like a comic book movie. We wanted this very much to feel like you recognize some of the story elements. Again, I'm trying hard not to give anything away, but in a completely different way, in a completely different, I guess a lot of people are debating what certain scenes in the movie mean. There's a lot that's kind of left open. What was in his imagination and what is real. I'm talking Joker now. Like, how much of the movie is real, in quotes, and how much of it is him imagining it. And so there's a lot of, and Todd Phillips is not giving anything away. He's kind of like, I kind of like that people don't know how much of it to take as this new story we're creating, and how much of it could just all be inside of Joker's mind, Arthur Fleck. And man, it's just, I highly recommend it, but definitely don't go into it thinking that you're gonna feel good.
Yeah, recommend for the adults, not a kids film.
Well, not even that. Just if you're with your honey and you want a nice night in and you want to, walk away and have popcorn and laugh, and it's not for that,
Yeah.
But it's really artfully done, and it's kind of Gotham reimagined in like the 70s. So just stylistically, there was a lot from the clothing and the cars and the landscape, the scenery, I guess, that was just very reminiscent of the 70s, and it's got that tone throughout, and it's super good. Super
So date night, positive feelings, you want La La Land, which I've heard is good.
Yeah.
Now, is that La La Land?
I've not seen it.
Is that La La Land, or is that...
Is that the one with Lady Gaga?
Don't even get me started.
The one where Lady Gaga and Emma Stone go
kiss each other at a piano.
Okay, that's
all right.
I think that's the one.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, and Zombies and Sandra Bullock.
Right.
Got it. Yeah, I haven't seen
28 Lala Days Jokerland.
No, it's got to be your zombie.
Wait, okay, you're I could get a good look at it. No, wait, it's got to be your bowl.
I could get a good look at a zombies steak by sticking my hand up there.
I'd rather take Sandra Bullock's word for it.
Perfect.
That is a good way to end. Did we mentioned sending in stuff in, right?
No, but we should.
Holy cow.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
What? Come on, hold on a minute.
Listen up, folks. We are going to be doing an episode on odd, funny family stories. And we are collecting your input in two formats. You can email us at fromthemiddle@protonmail.com, or today on our Facebook page, I literally showed you step by step how to send in a voice message. So in the description of
Don't patronize them.
in the description of every episode is a link that you can touch and follow the prompts that are very simple to record a voice message that you can send in. Some have already come in, and I was listening to a couple of them today.
Yeah.
Actually laughing out loud at some
Yeah.
of the stories that you guys are sending. Super funny.
Yeah.
So the more of those we have to go into that funny family stories episode, the better. If you don't have to name names, if you don't like, we don't want to make anybody feel bad. That's not our goal.
Anonymous is fine. I don't know why you said 2. We'll also accept messages via social media. So if you want to send us a story, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. I think you can direct message or send us a message on Facebook. That's fine too.
I just thought because stories are probably going to be a little longer, they can either record them with their voice or email. But yeah, you're right. Any way that we are out there at From the Mid Pod on everything, reach out to us. We would love to hear. And that would be awesome. So we're excited about the episode coming up. And thanks for joining us on episode 39
Niner.
of From a Chiming.